Sure. Thomas.
Just kind of expanding on the unchecked spending, major issue with me is the TIF. I know that's more of a city issue, but to me it's really crazy. If you look at the rules for TIF, you've got to have, I think it's 25 employees, you've got to own your own commercial property, you can't be rented it. And really what we're doing is we're giving money to people who, for you or I, if we own a business and we had enough money to employ 25 people and own a commercial property, we'd be sitting fairly good. Whereas starting a small business, and it's you, maybe your brother or your son or something, you're working, you're not eligible for a TIF. And so they're taxing us through our residential property taxes, through sales tax, all this other revenue that the city gets. And they're using our money to give somebody like, well, this was last summer, Von Mar got $1.5 million from the city. It was like, it's a handout.
It's an entitlement program
for the rich. It's an entitlement program for the rich. And I think that, right into the unchecked spending, like Todd's mentioned, growth at any cost. I mean, the city is so addicted to, now never mind the mom and pop. We're gonna bring in something big and we're gonna put Davenport on the map and screw all the rest of it.
What's the company that does all that's a the front man for Walmart when they come into town? Is it THF or what's the name of that company? I can't remember. I laugh that I say, like, if in their corporate office they must have a U.S. map and they must have like a big bullseye on Davenport. Like, yeah, if you want to get a boondoggle, we'll go right here. We've abused the TIF law in Davenport, and it is a municipal issue, but I think the county can have some impact on it, certainly, with some purview over that. It's also, Angelos had recently sent an alderman an email asking about the traffic cameras, the speed cameras, and so forth. And why can't we have a referendum on this? Why can't the people deal with this? And the response was, we're a charter city. Once we're elected, we don't have to ask permission to do anything. And I don't know if we're a charter county or not. We should probably look into that, because I think that might be part of the problem. So, how are we doing over there, guys? You don't know?
How close are you?
How about an update?
Michael?
Yes.
For those, I know there's a lot of people that's probably their first reading.
Right.
You want to explain the tactic of us running a third-party candidate against these people that are running on both? I didn't put that out this exactly this way.
Yeah.
Well, remember with our first meeting, you articulated very clearly that if we have several people running on polls for some of these offices. Okay. And so,
Right.
if it's a Democrat, there's another Republican
Yeah,
to go for it.
I know what you're talking about.
I think maybe you know.
Unfortunately, in the Board of Supervisors race, there's already Republicans and Democrats running, so it will be a three-way race in that ordeal. There's 3 positions available, so there'll be 9 people on the ballot. You can take 3 of them, your top 3. However, the importance and the real strategy behind an organization like this would be on the unopposed races, where you have a Republican or a Democrat that's running unopposed on the ballot, because if we run a candidate then against the unopposed or the incumbent, which it usually is, we become the second party. We become the other party that's running. So let's say if it's a Republican running, and we run an individual against the unopposed Republican, well, we automatically, and this is an assumption of mine, but it makes pretty good sense. You're automatically going to get the opposite party's votes, plus your independents, because in my experience running campaigns, generally there's a body of people out there that are hardcore Republican, hardcore Democrat, and it doesn't matter if it's Satan himself running on their ticket, they'll vote for him because they're running under their banner. And those people will absolutely not vote for the unopposed person. They'll just not vote at all. However, you run somebody against that person just in spite of that other person, and they don't want them in the office, they'll vote for the other side. So, same goes for our Democrat running, like Mike Walton and county attorney. I was hopeful that we would have a candidate for county attorney to run against Mike Walton, because you're automatically going to get a lot of Republican votes and all the independents, essentially. And maybe even some Democrats that don't like Mike Walton for whatever reason. And you have a very, very good chance of winning against even an incumbent. So, just because of that.
One of the strategies we pursued was, what's the title of this NPPO? It's Iowans for Accountability. And the last meeting, which was last Friday, we beat that up roundly because there was like 4 or 5 different names floating around. And that's what the consensus was, and that's how we're moving forward.
And we didn't make it official.
Okay, you're right. There was a consensus because we wanted to get a news release out, and hopefully it attracted some of you when you saw. Who saw Iowans for Accountability for the first time in the last week? Anybody here? Kevin did, the people did, yeah. I mean, hopefully it attracted you to say, hey, this is something like you should pay attention to. It had some resonance, if you will. My theory is that because we don't have tens of thousands of dollars to run a campaign, we might get some yard signs and some big signs and a few big property owners we can get out there, and I'm confident we can do that. But we're not going to spend a lot of money. We don't have a lot of money. But a lot of times, the first time people get in that booth have even thought about who they're voting for on the local level, because they're all trained to think about the horse race, the Bruce Braley, Ben Lang race, or not this cycle, but the president, Grassley, the big horse race. And that's what they're seeing in the media. They don't even know who the candidates are at city council or county. They don't even know. But they get in the booth and they see Iowans for Accountability. We're hopeful that resonates with them. They go, hey, I'll give these guys a shot. Let's just see what they have. They didn't know the other people anyway. They were just voting because it was Republican or Democrat. That's the theory, and we hope that it works. And thinking ahead a little bit, everybody, 2011 is school board elections, and 2012 is when there's redistricting throughout the entire state because of the census. So everything's up for grabs in 2012. When John Narcissus gets more than 2% in the governor election, then the Iowa party is on the ballot in every county in the state. So there's some synergy here that's kind of interesting as we look ahead 2 years here. There's more at stake here than just what's happening tonight. So I apologize that we don't have this count. Every day I can possibly do and not go run the spreadsheet. So.
Hey, Todd.
Yes, sir.
Is tomorrow the deadline to nominate?
Yes.
The filing deadline's tomorrow. Yeah.
There are no more conventions.
Yeah.
I don't know if this convention is to establish us as a non-party party, or if it wants to.
Today is the official day.
Okay.
It's both.
Yeah. And
It's both.
Yes, it's both.
When they file tomorrow, we're going to file with 3 names for the new Iowans for Accountability, NPPO. And ideally, it'll say IFA on the ballot.
Well, we do need to hash out, whatever our public statement is about the platform. So is there anything we need to take off or include or what we want to say to the public as far as an organization goes about who are the Iowans for Accountability? Yeah.
I guess the question arises that if you're going to have a platform, we're just talking strictly about the county level, but you mentioned synergistically what's going to happen down the road. Are you trying to establish an identity in people's minds and imaginations about the possibilities for a larger political scene?